Well, welcome, folks, to this edition of the 700 Club. I am here to pronounce the winner of the debate of last night, and it was the moderator, Chris Wallace. He did a superb job. He's good. And he's got a clinic to Lester Holt and those other people on how to do it, and so we're very proud of him. But they talked about all kinds of things: abortion, jobs, voter fraud, immigration, et cetera. I'm going to have some comments that I think shocked me. I had a hard time sleeping after watching that stuff. But that was the last of the 3 debates, and we've got a couple more weeks before the election. And Terry?
Yeah, well, it's always fascinating to watch how these things come together. Trump and Clinton talked about their differences on the top subjects in the election. We have 2 reports from our CBN News from the debate in Las Vegas, and we're going to begin with Jennifer Wishon.
No handshake set the tone as Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump met for their final debate. A reminder, if you needed one, of how personal this race has been. This exchange focused on a number of moral issues: the national debt, immigration, abortion, and the issue that's driving many Americans to the polls next month.
The Supreme Court, it's what it's all about.
Specifically, how the candidates would handle expected vacancies.
It is important that we not reverse marriage equality, that we not reverse Roe v. Wade.
That constitutional right to abortion is one issue that could be readdressed if the court's dynamic changes.
I will defend Planned Parenthood.
Trump says he'll appoint pro-life justices. It's some of the most direct language we've heard from him on abortion.
If you go with what Hillary is saying, in the 9th month, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb of the mother.
Well, that is not what happens in these cases, and using that kind of scare rhetoric is just terribly unfortunate.
The Republican doubled down on his tough immigration policy.
We have some bad hombres here, and we're going to get them out.
Clinton says Trump's plan won't work.
Law enforcement officers would be going school to school, home to home, business to business, rounding up people who are undocumented.
October's WikiLeaks surprise has damaged Clinton, but she was prepared to take on the subject.
The Russian government has engaged in espionage against Americans. Will Donald Trump admit and condemn that the Russians are doing this and make it clear that he will not have the help of Putin in this election?
I don't know Putin. He said nice things about me. If we got along well, that would be good.
Trump again denied claims of making unwanted sexual advances and defended his claims that the election is rigged. Moderator Chris Wallace asked whether he would accept the results of the election.
I will look at it at the time. I'm not looking at anything now. I'll look at it at the time. What I've seen is so bad. First of all, the media is so dishonest and so corrupt, and the pile-on is so amazing.
That's horrifying. You know, every time Donald thinks things are not going in his direction, he claims whatever it is rigged against him.
Here in battleground Nevada, Clinton has a razor-thin lead over Trump. The stakes couldn't be higher for both candidates coming out of this last debate, because starting Saturday, Nevadans can head to the polls early. Early voting has already begun in other battleground states, so the candidates will be working hard to spin their performances coming out of this showdown. CBN's Abigail Robertson has that part of the story.
Thanks, Jennifer. Well, the 2 sides aren't agreeing on a lot, but one story everyone's spinning is the importance of voting in this election.
An estimated 93 million eligible voters did not vote in 2012. I asked both sides why they think evangelical Christians should get out and vote for their candidate.
The Bible says a servant is worthy of his or her hire. She wants people who work to get paid. She wants women, infants, and children to be taken care of. She wants justice for all. That's why evangelicals should support her.
Kellyanne Conway pointed to comments coming from Clinton's camp exposed in the WikiLeaks emails.
For Christians to hear that a major party candidate who may be our president is calling us irredeemable goes against the crux of our faith. And that's the most appalling thing, is how little she thinks of all of us when we're not looking.
Tony Perkins from the Family Research Council says he understands why evangelicals might be unhappy with either option.
Character really does matter to conservative voters like myself. That's why I wasn't with Donald Trump in the beginning.
He encourages evangelicals to get involved and make a difference.
In many ways, this choice that we're faced with that is less than desirable is the result of our own apathy and indifference. It's time that we realize that we are responsible for this. We pray, we inform, we get educated, and we engage in the process.
We are just over 2 weeks away from Election Day, and although the candidates won't face each other again, there could be many more surprises between now and then. Let's continue to pray for this election and our future leader, and remember, get out and vote on November 8th. Reporting from Las Vegas, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Well, it's very interesting. You know, the thing that really surprised me, and maybe it shouldn't have been surprised, but Hillary Clinton did not back down one iota on any of the left-wing radical feminist agenda, not one iota. Now, the thing that they had a little hassle on, I think you need to understand, they had a discussion of partial birth abortion, and Hillary Clinton said, well, you're just scaring people, that's the way you are. But the truth is, partial birth abortion is a nice name for the murder of a living child, because the child is already going through the birth canal and its head has emerged from the mother's body. And at that point, now listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, it may shock you, but this is what happens. The doctor takes forceps, jams it into a space in the little baby's skull, and then from that can put a suction on it and suck out its brains. Now that's what happens to partial birth abortion. There is absolutely no medical justification whatsoever, because what that would do would put a woman much more in jeopardy. When you've got a baby trying to be born and you're twisting it around in the birth canal in order to kill it, that's much more dangerous to a woman. And there's absolutely no medical justification for it. But Hillary Clinton defended it all the way up and down the line. Then she came out 100% in favor of Planned Parenthood, which again was caught selling body parts of aborted babies. Now, and the founder of that was Margaret Sanger, who, you know, wanted to breed the thoroughbred, and she wanted to sterilize black people and so forth. Hillary's on board for all of that. And you just say, what is it? Can we possibly have a chief executive in the United States of America who believes in the slaughter of unborn babies? This is murder. There's pure and simple, and that's what it is. And so don't say, well, that's scare tactics, Donald. No, it's not. That is what that procedure is involved in, and the left, the radical feminists, want to preserve that because they don't want anything to limit the slaughter of unborn children. And we have killed 55 million, 60 million so far since Roe versus Wade. Maybe it's more than that. But that's where we are. And so what Donald said, I'm pro-life and I want to have pro-life judges, that was quite a thing. But I'm simply astounded. And David Brody is with us now. And David, I say it again, Hillary didn't back up on the feminist agenda one iota. All the way up and down the line, she defended rather radical positions.
She really did, Pat. There was no defense, or there was plenty of defense for Planned Parenthood. And I thought it was really interesting. Donald Trump actually went ahead and defended the pro-life position pretty well, especially for Donald Trump, since this isn't his area, if you will. But he did a pretty good job. And, you know, I think it's interesting to see what's going to move forward from this, because I think that was a big moment for evangelicals. I think Donald Trump defending the pro-life position, calling Hillary Clinton out on partial birth abortion, I think will move the needle to a degree with evangelicals. I don't think there's any question about it. And I have to say, Pat, looking at some of the coverage of this morning by the mainstream media, relatively appalling. The New York Times, with their debate news article, calling Donald Trump's position on abortion hard line is what they called his position. They never mentioned Hillary Clinton's view on partial birth abortion as controversial or radical or anything like that. But Donald Trump has got the hard line position on abortion. It's fascinating.
Well, David, the majority of the people now, they may be supporting Roe versus Wade, or they may even be called pro-choice. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty and say, do you favor punching a hole in a baby's skull and sucking out its brains on the way out of the birth canal. And people say, of course not. That's horrible. That's murder. And so the vast majority of the American people are against this kind of radical thing. And I don't know, the New York Times has gone off the rail. I think every semblance of objectivity has been given up by that paper.
Well, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm up with an article this morning, narcissistically, on the Brody file, Pat, and it's titled "All the Bias That's Fit to Print," the shameful New York Times. And you can go to the website and read about it. But you're right, and I think this is what we're talking about, and this is what Donald Trump and many of the Republicans are going to have to deal with going forward.
What about this claim by Hillary that the Clinton Foundation is a great charity and that they're spending 90% of their income on their social projects? What I've heard is just the opposite. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Do you have any update on that?
Well, there's no doubt some of that. Now, there's a lot of spin going on both sides, but we do know there seems to be clearly a pay-for-play portion of this as it relates to the Clinton Foundation and the State Department, and there are ties between both of them. But, you know, you mentioned at the top of the broadcast that you thought the winner of this debate was Chris Wallace, the moderator, and look what he did on that Clinton Foundation question. Remember, when he brought it up, Hillary Clinton went into a soliloquy about the virtues of the Clinton Foundation, and Chris Wallace put his hands up about 30 seconds in and said, Mrs. Clinton, this isn't what we're talking about. I want to specifically talk about some of the concerns about the foundation. So he was able to stop, in essence, stop her filibuster on the issue. And I thought that was an important moment for debate moderators to take note of.
Well, she had it all figured. You know, you remember when Jennifer Flowers, that scandal came out, and Jennifer Flowers was clearly Bill Clinton's mistress. What does Hillary say? Well, it's the news of the great right-wing conspiracy. And she said it with a straight face. So last night she said, well, these hacks are the result of the Russians. The Russians do it because they want to put Trump in office. I mean, that's so far-fetched, but she does it with a straight face.
Well, you know, in basketball, they tell you to use your feet and pivot, and we saw a lot of basketball moves by Hillary Clinton last night. Plenty of pivoting going on. I mean, look, this is what John Podesta and Jennifer Palmieri and the team Clinton have been trying to do for a long time, which is basically say, yeah, we heard about these WikiLeaks things, but, you know, let's talk about where they're coming from, and that's because of Russia, and that's all they want to talk about. And the media has been somewhat complicit in all of that. So, you know, we'll see. I have to tell you, as it relates to the debate last night, Donald Trump, look, here's some good news for Donald Trump. He really did win that debate on points. The problem is he stepped on his own good fortune with the headline that the media is talking about this morning, which is about the election results and whether or not he'll actually support those going forward. So it was unfortunate for him that he made news in the wrong way for this 24 to 48-hour news cycle. Yeah. But I think overall, Pat, he actually surgically kind of dismantled her on stage, and it's just unfortunate for him that he won't get the news cycle spin coming out of this.
Okay, a couple of more weeks to go on the big day. How do you read it now? You know, I've seen some polls. Rasmussen tied, others tied. He's down 6 in some other polls. What do you think?
Well, let me give you some anecdotal information here. Jenna Browder, CBN News correspondent Jenna Browder, and I were just in Florida this past week, and we'll be showing some of that to you on the 700 Club. And I can tell you anecdotally that there is a lot of enthusiasm for the Trump campaign in Florida. The polls show him down 2 to 3 points down there. But you look at the Clinton campaign, and we were there with them. You look at the Trump campaign, and boy, it is night and day difference. And I spoke to Adam Smith, a very well-respected political editor at the Tampa Bay Times down there, one of the top 10 political writers in all of America, who told me on camera that he believes there are plenty of closet Trump supporters out there that will show up on Election Day. He says, so Florida should not be written off, along with a lot of other states around the country.
Stealth candidate, is there any possibility? I mean, the people won't admit they're voting for Trump, and then at the last day they'll pull the lever when they're behind the secret curtain?
Well, I think there's some of that out there. The question is, how much of it is out there? So we're going to have to wait and see on that, Pat.
Well, David, thanks for the work you're doing. Keep it up, brother. God bless you.
You bet.
Ladies and gentlemen, I might also add that Donald Trump, the Trump people have requested a rally at Regent University here in Virginia Beach. on Saturday, this coming in a couple of days from now, and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So they're looking for a big crowd. It's a beautiful day. It'll be an outdoor event. And I'll look forward to that too. And then I'll interview the Donald for this program, and it'll be shown next Monday. So I think we'll get some important news. I'm going to go into some important things that maybe you haven't heard yet, and I'll have that. But the rally is open. I don't know. The Secret Service is doing everything they can to cut the crowd down, and I thought we'd have a big crowd, and so. Yeah.
Well, I think there will be a lot of people in these last days and last couple of weeks.
It'll be pretty. Well, here at Regent University on the campus, it's going to be gorgeous.
Absolutely.
All right.